And the Bible tells us that it will be part of clay and part of iron, which also means that this kingdom shall be divided, and it shall be partly strong and partly broken, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron. And we read that in Daniel 2 verse 41 in the King James Bible. So we know now that the two legs of iron of the statue in Daniel was the Roman Empire that slowly faded in the background in history. But according to this prophecy, the Roman Empire is going to be revived again in the last days of the kingdom of the 10 toes, because it says that it will be strong as iron, and as iron it. Now it is this kingdom, will break, crush and subdue all things. Now all things is all the other kingdoms in Daniel 2 verse 41. In Daniel 7 verse 23 it says, it shall be diverse, totally different from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it, the whole earth, down, and break it, the whole earth, in pieces. Now devour the whole earth means a one world governmental system that is worldwide in place. Today, after 2,600 years, we see that the European Union want to bring global changes around the world and set up a new world order. Now that is a one world government by implementing the Lisbon Treaty. Now the Bible tells us that this global governmental system will be different than all previous kingdoms or governments in history. And we can see this, for example, if we look at the computerized world today, at the satellite tracking and biometric identification systems that they are implementing. This never existed ever on the earth before. This global governmental system will change all known laws of nations, because it shall crush and subdue all things. Now Revelation 13 verse 7 also tells us that it was given unto him, now that is the Antichrist, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over every tribe and people and tongue and nation. So he will rule over the whole world. Now we see that the Bible tells us for 2,000 years that in the last days, before Jesus Christ's return, there will be a one world, a global governmental system in place. And we can see that this is happening right now.
In the financial crisis, Europe is leading the way towards a global solution.
Et début septembre, le président des États-Unis et l'Europe ont donc proposé plusieurs sommets à partir de la mi-novembre qui porteront sur une nouvelle régulation, une nouvelle gouvernance mondiale.
Today, Europe can propose the principles and rules that will shape a new global order.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Tuesday, March 3rd. Live from New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. President Obama and British Prime Minister Gordon today calling for a new world order to tackle our global economic crisis. President Obama said globalization can be an enormous force for good. Prime Minister Brown again pushing for what he calls a global New Deal paid for by the
Essentially, what they want to do is change the game to go from partners in war to partners in peace. They're not going to be focusing so much on the military agenda, but rather the economic agenda. What we expect from Prime Minister Gordon Brown, he is bringing what he's called a so-called global New Deal.
All these new challenges are bringing together about the biggest restructuring we have ever seen, not just of the global economy, but of the global order as a whole. And people talked then, in 1990, of a new world order. What they actually meant then was a new political order. And what was not foreseen then, but is obvious now from everything that we see and do, what we experience in every day of our life, is the sheer scale and speed and scope of globalization. And it's only now that we can begin to understand that the world order that globalization brings and what it's going to look like, it's driven forward now not just by the balance of military strength, the Cold War times, or ordinary political power. It's being driven forward by a seismic shift in economic power that we see around us.
I want to play a piece. In fact, hello, Congressman, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Very good. I want to play a piece for the American people, something that was said at Columbia University at a dinner on Friday. Finally got a hold of the audio and the video of this. This is George Soros and what he said on Friday on how bad things are at Columbia University.
The seriousness of the crisis cannot be exaggerated. The closest comparison that I can think of is actually the collapse of the Soviet system.
Okay. So George Soros is now, and I've got something on this tomorrow, America, that you just don't want to miss. The collapse of the Soviet system is how serious this is. What scares me about this, Congressman, is I know there are people all around the world that are licking their chops at, well, wait a minute, if things collapse on capitalism, we're going to have to restart it. Can you tell me, you know, what is the G20 doing? What is happening around the world with Gordon Brown, who will be in Congress next week, that says, hey, I think we should have a new New Deal, but a global New Deal?
Yeah, they're frantic and they're panicking, and you have the central banks from the G7, I'm sure, are meeting constantly to plan the next monetary structure. We had a major structure formed in Bretton Woods in '44. It collapsed in '71. We've had the dollar reserve standard from '71 up until last year. That's collapsed. It's gone. It's done. And they have to have a new monetary standard. And they're planning behind the scenes. We're not entitled to know anything about it. Under the law, they don't have to tell us a thing. But believe me, they're planning. They're panicky because they don't have an easy answer. But there are major changes going on. I've argued this case for years.
So we're still looking at biblical specifications of the beast. Now in Daniel 7 verse 23, the fourth and last kingdom shall devour the whole earth. Now this means a global governmental system will be in place. And it shall tread it, the earth down, and break it, the earth into pieces. Now the Bible is telling us that the earthly governments and laws are going to change as we know it. And this new government will divide the world into new divisions, pieces. And amazingly today, this prophecy is literally going in fulfillment. Break the earth into pieces. Now the New World Order are planning to divide the whole earth into new regions, provinces or pieces, just as the book of Daniel tells us. In the next clips you will see how the New World Order plans to divide the whole earth into pieces. Now borders of nations did change a lot in history, but it has never been changed by a one world governmental system. Now this is the same article zoomed in, and you can see on the top European Commission, the European Union in the United Kingdom, and the heading Euromyth, a Europe without England. The European Union has a map showing Britain divided into areas such as the European region of Scotland, with England no longer so called, but divided into 4 European regions. Now this appeared in the Daily Mail on the 26th of August 1997. Now the next article is telling us now Africa heads toward a continental government. Now this is the same article zoomed in, and you can see they are talking there, the second paragraph from below, and while Africa Union is still in a formative state, it's already officially designated by an emblem, a flag, an anthem, a central bank and a unified continental military force.